Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
The Zone is presented by Guaranteed Foods, delivering all natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
I'm ready. Tuesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you. A lot of stuff to get into and talk about today. We will talk with Adam Teicher from ESPN, Chiefs Insider, coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. We'll hang out with him, talk about this Chiefs team. Certainly reaction and breakdown from the Chiefs breakdown to the Buffalo Bills over the weekend, and then looking ahead to the New England Patriots and a bigger picture around the AFC and just simply what this Chiefs team looks like right now. We'll talk with Adam Teicher coming up at 11 o'clock. Todd Lebo joins us at noon. Some Fact or Fiction with Todd Lebo in the noon hour. And then about 1:20 or so, we'll talk some college football. Braden Gall will join us at Lawn Sports ESPN Radio, get his thoughts on some college football talk going on across the country. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us. 913-912-4810. Text line to be part of the show, part of the conversation if you want to do that. We will certainly talk some Chiefs football today. Let's start with the Monday Night Football game last night that people around here locally cared about, unless you were a Packers or a Giants fan. The Tennessee Titans finding a way to pull off a victory in which they were 2-touchdown underdogs in the game against the Miami Dolphins, who would have been still pacing for the number one seed in the AFC. Now they would have had to, they still have to play Baltimore. But right now, if they had won last night, they would be the number one seed in the AFC. And they were up 27-13 with 3 minutes to go in the game against a Titans offense. The Titans offense that had scored 13 points through 57 minutes and relies on the running game with Derrick Henry and Tyjae Spears and Will Levis, who is, looking like a decent quarterback, a decent pick there early second round for the Titans. But all you had to do was limit them to less than 14 points and you win the game. And odds are you were going to get a couple of possessions. So that means if you got a couple of possessions, all you had to do was get a couple of first downs with under 3 minutes to go. And also, don't let them score fast. There are a lot of ways that you could win that game last night and keep pace with the Ravens and be 10-3 right now through 13 games. And instead, the Tennessee Titans somehow find a way to score 15 points in the final 3 minutes of that game. And Mike Vrabel doing the math. And I do love the national appreciation for him going for two there.
That was a win for all of us.
Because if he hadn't got the 2-point conversion and then he didn't get the 2-point conversion late because they would have had to then go for two if he didn't get the first one and they were done and they lost by one, people would be talking about how dumb they are, etc. Instead, it's the math of the whole thing. It's the calculus. And he gets the 2-point conversion. Then he gets the ball back and they take the lead. And then they get a stop against the Dolphins offense. It was such an improbable win last night. The Dolphins are the first team ever to be up 14 points with less than 2:55 to play and lose in regulation. They are the first team ever. I mean, we can look at it from the Titans side, but I like looking at it from the Dolphins side.
It's more fun that way.
It's a lot more fun that way. The Dolphins are the first team ever to be up 14 points with less than 2:55 to play in the game and lose without overtime. That is hard to do.
Impossible to do.
In fact, it's
until last night.
Never. It hadn't happened in ever. In ever. And teams that were down 14 points with under 3 minutes to go since 2016 previously were 0-767. Because the last one that took place, the 768th game, was in overtime that they came back and won. We had never seen a team win in regulation before. Since 2016, trailing by 14 points under 3 minutes, 0-767.
It's a lot of football.
They're now 1-767. I mean, it is just a massive, massive loss for the Miami Dolphins, who have been trying to show that they are a legitimate team in the AFC. And if they haven't beaten really good teams or teams that are above 500, it doesn't matter because they are taking care of business and they've been close in those games and they'll get opportunities. They're going to get Dallas at home. They're going to go to Buffalo. They'll get go to Baltimore. They'll get Buffalo at home after this weekend against the Jets, which should be after this weekend against the Jets. We'll see what happens in that game. Then they've got Dallas at home, go to Baltimore, Buffalo at home. They'll have 3 opportunities against teams that are above 500, or depending on what Buffalo looks like the next few weeks. So around there, teams that are either in or fighting for a playoff spot.
And a Jets team that just beat the Texans.
Yeah.
Like at their peak right now, perhaps.
Zach Wilson, 300 yards and a couple of touchdowns in that game, scoring 30 points against the Texans, the Jets. I mean, it's just, they looked like a regular greatest show on turf in that game to the Jets. Miami will have opportunities to show that they can beat teams that are above 500. But they had taken care of the teams that they should have beaten along the way. And last night was such a massive blow to the Dolphins because it continues to highlight what I have said the last few weeks, that I know while we're here and we cover this team so closely, national media is a mile wide and an inch deep when it comes to the NFL. Locally, we are a mile deep and an inch wide. We are talking about the 53rd, 54th. We're talking about Deneric Prince being elevated off the practice squad. I don't know how many Buffalo Bills fans would even know who Deneric Prince is, nor should they care who he is, because I don't know what the practice squad looks like for the Buffalo Bills either. But those that are covering the Buffalo Bills, they do. They care about it. They talk about it. It matters on those elevations, those small little minute details that we discuss for some reason because we're sick, all right? We are dorks when it comes to these things. You know?
I had to break you and Matt Derrick up over a third quarterback conversation. I still haven't fully healed from that. Emotionally. Physically, I'm fine.
It's weird how that went. I'm not sure what the Chiefs ended up doing. I'll have to look back at that. See what they did.
Let's bring that up again on Friday.
I'm not going to do that.
I'm going to be sick on Friday.
Not going to do that. But we pay so much attention locally to this team, and we see the struggles, and we go, well, they're not winning the AFC. Now, that certainly is a pretty decent possibility. But they're one game up on the Broncos. Shockingly, they're one game up on the Broncos.